Hello everyone, this lecture video is all about temperature and heat, and basically this is our last lecture for second quarter. So how do we differentiate the two? When we say temperature, it's all about the measure of the hotness or coldness of the object. Again, when we say temperature, it is the measure of the hotness and coldness of an object. And when we say the heat, it means this is the energy, right? Heat energy, which is the flow of energy due to temperature differences. And basically, here's the big idea when we tackle about temperature and heat. So we say that when matter gets warmer, the atoms or molecules in the matter move faster. Again, the big idea is that when the matter gets warmer, the atoms or molecules in the matter moves faster. So, ano ibig sabihin natin yan? So, let us say we have the ice, the molecules of the ice. Oh, wait. Alright, so let's say we have the molecules of the ice. So, initially, dikit-dikit yan, right? Magkakadikit yung mga atoms. Pak, 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 pak. Are the atoms of the solid like ice moving? Does it move? Yes, of course it moves. Though it doesn't freely moves, but it does move on its own position. Like parang cellphone, nagbabibrate siya in its own position. So it needs to vibrate so that the potential energy can be converted into kinetic energy. Alright, so the temperature of an ice, let's say the freezing point of that is 0 degrees Celsius. Now, let us say, let's increase the temperature at room temperature. Gawin natin 32 degrees Celsius for the room temperature. So, what do you think will happen on the solid or in the ice? What do you think will happen? Yes, it will be converted into water. And what do you think will happen on the average kinetic molecule? When we say average kinetic molecule, this is the movement of the uh, atoms in the molecule. So basically, what will happen on the average kinetic molecule? The atoms will be moving or will have space, the bond will lose, it will become a liquid because the temperature increased, the average kinetic molecule will also increase. And then let us say, let's increase the temperature into 100 degrees Celsius. So kapag 100 degrees Celsius, basically that is the boiling point of the water, the normal boiling point at sea level, at the surface of the earth. So what will happen on that? The bond will be heated and the bond will be more freely moving. Mas malalaki yung spaces sa pagitan na magiging gas na yan. Because the 100 degrees Celsius is that phase or the temperature wherein the liquid will turn into vapor. So again, when the temperature increases, the average kinetic molecule also increases. Ha? Next, so here is the difference between the heat and temperature, which is I already defined earlier. But basically, we have different. We say that the temperature is the measure of the hotness of coldness of the object. So, what is the instrument that we use to measure the temperature? We are using thermometer, and there are different scales for measuring temperature depending on where you are. Sometimes you can use Fahrenheit, Celsius, and the Kelvin. I mean degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius, and the Kelvin. So I have here the absolute zero. What do we mean by absolute zero? This is the lowest theoretical or the theoretical lowest possible measure of temperature wherein the average kinetic molecule has a limited movement, and usually it happens before the freezing point. We also have the freezing point, and then we also have the boiling point. So there are differences on the scales as we go on different scales of temperature. For example, if the absolute zero in Fahrenheit is negative 459 degrees, in Celsius that will be negative 270 degrees, and in Kelvin that will be 0 degrees, and so on. So here are the conversions in which this will not be included in the lesson, and this has been discussed, I think, on the initial lessons. But if you want, there is a recorded lecture of that. But again, this is not included in the exam. So I won't dwell on that. So I have here a question related to temperature and heat. If a cup of coffee and a red popsicle were left on the table in your room, what would happen to them? Let us say the room is room temperature, 32 degrees Celsius. Yung cup of coffee, it is hot. The red popsicle is cold. What do you think will happen? Yes, the cup of coffee will cool down and will reach the room temperature, and the red popsicle will be melted and will reach the room temperature as well. Okay. That's the answer. And the next, I have here the three forms of heat transfer, which you all basically somewhat familiar, if not totally familiar. We have here the conduction, convection, and radiation. Let us see the differences of those three. In conduction, the heat transfer is direct contact. Like for example, if you have a cup of coffee and you placed a tablespoon there or a spoon, the heat from the cup of coffee will be transferred as well on the tablespoon. Basically, the normal flow of heat is from hot to cold. So next, the particles vibrate and transfer energy from particle to particle. Example of this is cooking on a stove. The heat source from the stove will be transferred in the dish that you are cooking or in the pot that you are using. For example, grilling marshmallow or grilling barbecue, the uh, heat from the charcoal will be transferred from the marshmallow or barbecue. And then next, convection, which is the heat transfer from molecule movement. So it happens with liquids and gases. So basically, on the concept of convection, the hotter water moves to the top of the pot and the cooler water falls, because the cold water is denser compared to hot water. For example, nasa dagat ka or nasa swimming pool ka tapos sobrang tirik ng araw, sa surface ng water mainit, pero dun sa may paanan mo pagkadublog mo malamig, right? Because the water is denser, the cooler water is denser compared to hot water. Another example is bakit lumilipad yung balloon? Because the air inside it is hotter initially sa unang blow mo, pero after some time bumababa din yung balloon, lalo na kapag lumamig na yung air sa loob nun. So, nag-sink din yung balloon or bumabalik siya sa earth, sa pinaka-ground floor. Okay? So, radiation is travels through space, does not need a medium, but can travel through one, like sunlight. Ang difference sa radiation sa convection is that it can travel into a vacuum. Right? For example, ito yung sunlight natin. And then, absorption experiment, I have here 4 containers which were placed equidistant from the heater. So, equal ang distance sila sa heater. Which container would have the warmest water after 10 minutes? Shiny metal yung isang container, dull metal yung isa, dull black yung isa, shiny black yung isa. Basically, these two are not metal. So, before we answer this absorption experiment, I have here 2 scenarios. I have white mug and a black mug. Let's say parehas silang nagkakape ka. Nagkakape ka, yung kasama mo nagkakape din, pero magkaiba yung color ng mug ninyo. Pero dito, yung kape mo ay creamy white. Tapos dito, black coffee. Alin ang unang lalamig between the two? Which will cool faster? Yes, before you answer this one, I have here another scenario. Kapag mainit ang panahon, lalo na sa Pilipinas, ano mas magandang suotin? Yung white or yung black? Of course, sabihin nyo yung black, which is true. Pero bakit? So, why do we wear white on summer days, on warmer weather? Because the light will reflect the heat. Because it has shiny surface. Unlike for the black, it will just absorb that. So that is also the reason why in hot countries we paint the houses in light colors or more necessary in white, so that it can reflect the light and not absorb it. Because if i-absorb yan, pintura mo ng black, ay init na init ka yan. And then, to better understand, I have here 2 objects. Yung isa medyo translucent or transparent. Yung isa, dark object. So, ang difference nila, yung shadow nitong lighter object ay lighter kasi nire-reflect niya yung ibang light. At the same time, yung light na-convert yan sa heat. Too much light will be converted to heat. So, nare-reflect din yung heat. Unlike kapag dark yung object, hindi yan nare-reflect. Basically, ina-absorb niya. Yung shadow is heavier than the lighter object. Yan yung reason kung bakit tayo nagka-paint ng white sa ating mga bahay para ma-reflect yung heat. Yan ang reason kung bakit tayo nagsusuot ng white shirt At basically, yung unang lalamig sa two types of coffee ay yung creamy white dahil nakalagay siya sa black mug at the same I mean sa white mug at the same time lighter ang color ng creamy white coffee. Now, how about this? Parehas akong may white mug pero yung isa ay black coffee, yung isa ay creamy white. Ano ang unang lalamig? Of course, yung creamy white at the white mug. Alright? And then, what's this? Another one here. So to answer that, by that analysis, the dull black container would be the warmest after 10 minutes because its surface absorbs heat radiation the best. But the shiny metal would be the coolest kasi ang shiny metal mas makinis ang surface. So basically, mas magre-reflect yan ng light and heat because it is the poorest at absorbing heat radiation. So convection questions. Why does hot air rise and cold air sink? Sinagot ko na to kanina. Cool air is more dense than warm air or cool air is denser than warm air. So, the cool air falls through the warm air. Kaya nga may mga snow sa lapag. 'Di ba? Wala kayong makikitang snow sa mga visible snow sa atmosphere. I mean, sa kung saan pagtumingin ka sa horizon. Radiation questions. Why are houses painted white in hot countries? Nasagot ko na rin yan kanina. So, white reflects heat radiation and keeps the house cooler. So, let us have Hat's question. What is the SI unit of temperature? Celsius, Fahrenheit, Joule, or Kelvin? Of course, the answer is Kelvin. Sinagot ko ba yan kanina? Yan ang SI unit or the standard. What is absolute zero? Letter D. What happens to the temperature of a substance when it undergoes a phase change? Ano doon nangyari sa temperature kapag nag-undergo ng phase change? Halimbawa, solid to liquid. Anong sagot ninyo? Temperature. Ano nangyayari? So, nag-i-increase kapag nagkakaroon ng phase change like solid to liquid, nagkakaroon ng increase sa temperature. Letter C. How about this one? What about kapag liquid to solid? Pag liquid to solid naman, it will decrease, syempre. In which directions does heat transfer occur naturally from hot to cold? Sinabi ko yung kanina. What happens to the average kinetic energy to movement of the molecules as the temperature of a substance increases? So, kapag nag-increase yung temperature, okay, ano mangyari sa average kinetic molecule? Directly proportional yan, mag-i-increase din. Okay? So, it increases. Letter E. How about this one? Which material is known for its poor conductivity and heat? Wood. Next, when a gas expands, what happens to its temperature? Kapag nag-expand ang gas, average kinetic molecule ay nag-expand. Ano mangyayari sa temperature? It increases. So, 5 grams of copper was heated from 20 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius. How much energy was used to heat copper? The specific heat capacity of copper is 0.092 calories per gram degrees Celsius. So, ito ay application ng Chem to ninyo, thermodynamics. So, to answer this one, I have here the following worksheet. So, ang hinahanap natin ay how much energy was used. The Q. So, ang mass natin, we have here the following. So, to calculate the energy used to heat the copper, we can identify first the given values. We have here the Q is the heat energy, that it's what we are looking for. The M is the mass of the substance, which is given in the problem, 5 grams. The C is the specific heat capacity, which is given as well in the problem, 0.092 calories per gram degree Celsius of the copper. While the delta T, or the change in temperature, is the change in temperature basically from 80 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius. The change in temperature is 60 degrees Celsius. The formula for this is the Q equals MC and then delta T. The solution, substitution lang, Q, and then the M is 5 grams. Specific heat is this one. Change in temperature is 60 degrees. So, multiply that, and then I think you can cancel units from here. You can cancel. You will have 27.6 calories per gram. So, you do not need to include the gram because it's understood. Another problem, a steel bridge is constructed with a gap of 100 meters at an average temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. What will be the change in length of the bridge when the temperature rises to 30 degrees Celsius? Assuming a linear coefficient of expansion of 12 times 10 raised to negative 6 per degree Celsius for steel. So let us solve this one. So the change in length of a material, that is what we are being asked here. What will be the change in length? That is the problem. What will be the change in length? So the change in length of a material due to change in temperature can be found by identifying the given first. We have the A, which is the coefficient, or alpha, which is the coefficient of linear expansion given the problem, that is 12 times 10 raised to negative 6 degrees Celsius per degree Celsius rather. So L is the original length, which is 100 meters. I put delta L there, but that is just L, I mean. And then that is equivalent to 100 meters as well. And then change in temperature, which is 30 degrees Celsius minus 15 degrees Celsius given in the problem, that is 15 degrees Celsius. The formula for this one is the change in length is equivalent to the alpha multiplied to the length given and the change in temperature. So all you need to do is substitute the change in length, we are looking at the change in length, I mean, the coefficient of linear expansion, the length itself, and the change in temperature. Multiply that, cancel degrees Celsius, you are left with the meter unit, and multiplying, you will have 0.018 meters. Okay, next. In designing a bridge to withstand temperature variations, which material characteristics becomes especially critical due to its tendency to expand and contract significantly with temperature changes. Not high thermal conductivity, kasi pag masyadong mainit, it will expand. And how about kapag winter? So, hindi pwede yan. Low specific heat capacity, hindi niya kaya mag-absorb ng heat, so the bridge will be brittle at madaling masisira. Low thermal insulation, dapat pinoprotektahan ang bridge, so dapat high thermal insulation yan. Pag sinabing insulation, yung hindi siya nakaka-absorb ng heat. So, parang rubber, ganon. High coefficient of thermal expansion, ito ang tamang sagot. Alright? So, that concludes our lesson for, what's this? Temperature and heat.